Hey Optimancers, Chris here. Have you ever been in a campaign where a magic item saved the party? I think I have, more than a few times, and I imagine a number of my viewers have as well. Here's another question. Has that item ever been cursed? Again, I think I can say more than once, and again, I would think that a lot of you have as well. But here's a third question. Has it ever been the curse itself that saved the party? Now, here's where things get interesting, because up to a few weeks ago, the answer to that, at least in my case, would be, are you kidding? Curses are bad by definition. Except that's exactly what happened. I was playing a character in a long-term campaign, happened across a magic item, attuned to that item, only to find out it was cursed. Naturally, my first instinct was wondering how I was going to get that curse removed. This was a cursed item I am certainly aware of. It's in the Dungeon Master's Guide, but I had never really considered the curse before, and it certainly sounded bad on first reading. But now, having a character that actually was cursed by this item, and reading it again, and then I thought, hold on a second, this maybe could actually be good. Not that the item was good in spite of the curse, but the curse itself might actually be good. Then, later in the campaign, having decided to keep this cursed item, it potentially, anyways, saved the party. The campaign is a third-party D&D adventure path that's being run by Nick Lutz, one of my Archmage level patrons from Patreon. And he can verify it's a true story. He's already done so in the Tree Monks Temple Discord community, which is open to anyone who would like to join. Link in the video description. Speaking of Archmage subscribers, I would like to thank the following Archmage level patrons of this channel: Airhead, Rob, Anna, Awesome Face, Ben Potts, Benjamin, Black, Bloody Nine, CJ, and Cass Byrne. Also a shout out to my friend Pack Tactics. He only plays kobolds and he makes optimization videos. Link for his channel below. Let's get started. So here's the story. While exploring the domain of one of the arch nemeses of the party, my character came across a magic shield. Being the party tank, and not having a magic shield, I was pretty excited to find one. Now I had no way to identify the shield, so I used the standard practice of using a short rest to attune to the item. This is when it was revealed to me I had attuned to a shield of missile attraction, a cursed item. Now, a DM certainly has the choice as to whether they're going to reveal a curse right away or wait until the appropriate moment. And in this case, the DM revealed it right away, though it wouldn't have made a difference to the end story here either way. Now, I was certainly aware of the shield of missile attraction. It's a shield that made all ranged weapon attacks fly at you. The rest of the players and I immediately discussed how we might get access to a remove curse. There was no way that was going to happen right away, so I figured I better take a look at the item description because I was stuck with it and figure out exactly what I was in for. So the Shield of Missile Attraction is a rare item, and the first part is undeniably good. While holding the shield, you have resistance to damage from ranged weapon attacks. And if it's just that, then it's a perfect item for a tanky character like mine was. Then I read the curse. The shield is cursed. Attuning to it curses you until you are targeted by the remove curse spell or similar magic. Removing the shield fails to end the curse on you. Uh-oh, here we go. Whenever a ranged weapon attack is made against a target within 10 feet of you, the curse causes you to become the target instead. Well, that sounds terrible, but then I started to think about it. My character doesn't really use many ranged weapons. I'm a multi-class Glory Paladin Clockwork Soul Sorcerer. Most of the time I'm fighting in melee, and when I'm not using ranged weapons very often. Certainly not against targets within 10 feet of me. Then I thought about the rest of the party. We have a Diviner Wizard, a Lore Bard, a Genie Pact Warlock, a melee Rogue Gloomstalker Ranger, and a Warlock Sorcerer. We had a lot of ranged attack options in our party, but nobody primarily used ranged weapons. And as a Paladin, I have an Aura of Protection, providing saving throw bonuses to all allies within 10 feet, so it's not uncommon for the rest of the party to actually be within 10 feet of my character to get this bonus. It occurred to me that having any ranged weapon attacks that targeted my allies having to target me instead maybe wasn't such a bad thing at all. And on top of that, I was going to have resistance to the damage. I mean, there's a non-curse shield called the Arrow Catching Shield that has ranged weapons target you instead of people within 5 feet of you, and that one requires your reaction to use, and you don't get resistance to the damage. So I said, wait a minute, I think I might just keep this shield. And several sessions passed, and honestly, the shield didn't really come up all that much. Maybe a few times there was like an arrow here or javelin there. For the most part, we just weren't facing ranged attacks, and then that changed rather dramatically several sessions later. The party was part of a big epic battle. This was near the end of the campaign, and the party and our allies were defending a city against an army of invaders. These invaders had large-sized longbows that did 2d8 damage plus dexterity bonus, and they had multiple attacks per round. There were a lot of them, and there was no way to defeat them all anytime soon. It was going to be an extended battle. I had the party cluster around me, and I started to take the dodge action. And I have to tell you that over the next few rounds, there were a lot of arrows. How many? 140 of them to be exact. On average, with hits, that was over 1,000 points of damage, more than enough to kill every party member. However, instead, over those rounds, all 140 arrows had to come at my character. The character with the highest armor class, with the shield spell, and I was dodging, and I had resistance to the damage. Now, as it happens, after the shield spell, none of them hit. 140 arrows, 140 misses. Now, of that many rolls, a double 20 was certainly possible, but again, I was just fine with a couple hits, since I had resistance to the damage, but I got lucky and the DM was not able to roll a single hit. So as it was, the non-curse portion of the shield, the resistance to the damage of ranged weapon attacks, still never came up. Not once. The curse, however, came up somewhere around 120 times. 120 arrows that could have taken my allies down, broken concentration on spells, and left the party in pretty rough shape. Prevented because I looked at a curse and decided that the curse might actually be good. Now, I should say that a shield of missile attraction could be really bad. I'm certainly not here to say otherwise. If you're playing in a party where you have archery characters, they could end up hitting you instead of the enemy they were shooting at. And as I mentioned before, a DM has no obligation to tell you the nature of a curse until it comes up. In fact, there's plenty of reason why they may not. After all, your character is not necessarily supposed to realize they've been cursed. I've seen it played both ways, depending on the DM. But in this case, though, enough time had passed that we certainly would have determined the nature of the curse by this time regardless. Also, if you are a character that does not want the enemy to attack them, this is not the shield for you. But I think this was a good lesson for me, and hopefully for you as well. And that lesson is, just because an item says curse, doesn't mean you shouldn't analyze it with an optimizer's point of view before rushing for the nearest remove curse spell. Not all curses are bad, which many players who've had their characters turned into lycanthropes or vampires will tell you. Turns out the same is true of cursed items. Now, some items have curses that might be worth it. If you get a chance to attune, for example, to the Axe of the Dwarvish Lords, you will likely accept the curse gratefully because the rest of the item is so good. However, I encourage you to take a look at the curse itself. Is there any way, any scenario, where you could turn that curse to your advantage? For a couple examples, could the Hellhound Cloak actually be a good item for a weak ally? Maybe a pet or a familiar? Maybe. Could the Orb of the Veil actually be a good item for a Gloomstalker Ranger? I think it could. Take a look at the curse and think about it. I'm certainly glad I did that. So here's where I ask my viewers, have you ever had a cursed item where you found the curse to be useful? Tell us about it in the comments. I'll be checking for your responses, but until then, I'm going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, Optimancers, and I'll talk to you soon.